Welcome to the OK, Let's Learn podcast. This is two podcasts in one. One where we dive into tons of great stories and books, and another where we just dive into tons of great, interesting topics. My name is Kevin O'Keefe. So today, okay, let's learn and finish reading Because of the Rabbit. This is episode 5 of 6 total episodes. Before you continue, you want to finish the book. We're talking about page 148 through page 183, the end of the book. We will go through these pages, what has happened to wrap up the book. We won't go through a lot of the retrospective of what happened throughout the book. We will leave that to our last episode, and that episode will pretty much dive into everything, highs and lows, best moments, worst moments, best characters, worst characters, so definitely look forward to that final episode. But this is all about the end of the book, and as I've talked about many times, books have their ups and downs, and I really divide them into beginning, middle, and end. So let's see if this book can wrap up on a great moment. Was I interested in reading through it, etc., etc. And if I sound different, I feel different, definitely have a sore throat, and I know it hurts to talk, and I'm sure it's coming out different on the other end here. So, what is going on here as we enter the newest chapter, page 148, and the chapter's called To Offer Grooming, Hold Your Hand on the Ground in Front of the Rabbit. If the rabbit accepts, he will come to you. So this is absolutely a foreshadowing of what's going to happen here. Here it is on this opening page, quote, "More than anything, I wish school were over and I could go to my room, close the door with Lappy, and never come out. It was so unfair," unquote. She's talking about the fact that now school is not going well. Kids are not being her friends. She's only friend she got is a special needs kid named by the name of Jack. And she's been kind to Jack. She's been wonderful to Jack. And they've established a good one-on-one relationship. But she's looking for more than this. She's looking for some friends that are girls that, again, obviously same age, want to make a connection. But as I'm thinking through all this, I mean, again, this is part of what I really don't like about this book. I understand it. I get it. But it's only 3 days. I think 3 days, right? We're going into the third day. Give yourself some grace, Emma. There's too much drama in her head. And again, I get it. That's the whole purpose of this book. It is realistic, but really is it? Is she that unhappy? But yeah, here's what happens at this point. She's doing somersaults in her head that she has to return Lappy. It's not fair. And he loved me now. This is huge. What I just said is huge to understanding the turning point in this book. What happens? What turns Emma around? What makes her happy? What the theme of the whole story is? He loved me now. Yes, she then says to herself, well, maybe, maybe the Abbotts hadn't loved him very much. Maybe they'd been so mean to him that he ran away. But, she's going back and forth in her head that this can't be happening to me, right? Even though it enters her mind that, this another family could love him, he could be looking for his old family. And all she's doing is thinking about herself. Even, quote, even if they had loved him, Iris said the posters were down, so they must have given up on finding him. Maybe they had a new rabbit by now, unquote. So here we go. Lunch is finally over, and this is what the author is writing. I told Leah I'd catch up them at recess. She goes to the ladies' room to try to pull herself together. She is not a happy camper. She is emotionally distraught. She needs her own space. And we've all been there, right? And here she is inside the ladies' room, and she can't even get her own privacy. And then, time for recess. She sees Jack out in the doorway. "Not now," she snaps. "Can't you see I'm in the girls' room?" And as the author writes, quote, "Hurt jumped into Jack's eyes. At once, I knew I made a mistake. I didn't mean to yell. It just came out that way," unquote. He turned, he ran, and then everything exploded at once. What happens? Because obviously Jack, all he does is give, and understands nothing but getting that reciprocation. He flees. He crawls under the table back in the classroom, and his face was buried in his arms across his knees. Again, I've talked about this so often. Show, don't tell. Don't write that don't write that a person started crying. Describe what the person's doing. It is so much more effective, and you can do it. And here's what the author does. All morning, quote, "I'd wish the clock would go faster, but now I didn't want those hands to move at all," unquote. So what happens now? She feels horrible. She knows that she wasn't herself. But again, give yourself some grace, Emma. Everyone's allowed to feel this way, but unfortunately, since her only friend is Jack, who has special needs, she now needs to attend to him, and she does do this. She does take care of him in her own special way. How? She knew she loved being told stories, and everyone loves being told stories, and certainly Jack loved it. So she tells him a story that Pepperay had once told her. And the story was about Monsieur Lapin wanting to be Madame Sidel, the nuthatch. In other words, the rabbit wanted to be a bird. Yes, a nuthatch is a bird. And she's telling this story so Jack could feel better, but Jack is going to black and white, not gray. He's not understanding necessarily the point of the whole story, and he's interrupting her because, no, rabbits are herbivores, and only birds can actually go down a trunk head first. So she's being a good sport with Jack, even though, like I said again, he's interrupting her because part of the story is not factually correct. But here's what she realizes. She tells the story, and it's ultimately about, rabbits are rabbits. Don't try to be someone that you're not. And you can sense this a mile away, that by her telling this story, she's really telling a story about her predicament right now. She's trying to be someone that she's not. And in that moment, the story is over, and Jack says, "Yeah, Emma, that's right. You're Emma Nuthatch." And she comes right back at Jack and said, "You know what? You're right. You're Jack Rabbit." And it was also a commentary on being friends and what a real friend is. As the author writes, that Emma basically says, quote, "I think it means that a real friend will like you for you," unquote. So Emma apologizes. Jack understands. But now, listen to this. At the bottom of page 154, they're under the table in the classroom. It's just them. But now she's got to get out from underneath the table, and she's got to deal with the reality of life where it is right now, and not the safety of being under your covers at home with Lappy, being under your table here with your good friends, and recognizing what real friendship is, and recognizing that, you are you. But still in this moment, they had something to do. They had to make their presentation, and the story is not over. She goes back home, goes to Emma, trying to reconcile how she's going to call these people to see if Lappy actually belongs to them. And Owen says something that's very important regarding friendship. Yes, quote, yes, and you have to be that kind of friend back, Owen says. It works both ways. So you also have to be the friend you want to have, unquote. Owen is being the great big brother again. He's being the wise, older sibling, and she's starting to figure it out. She is starting to get a window into what's important, but she really isn't, because still on page 160, this is what she says, quote from the story, I'd rescued Lappy, but now I needed him to rescue me. I needed him to be there when I got home from school. I needed him to love me best. Oh boy, unquote. So she is starting to figure it out, but she really isn't. She's still troubled. So here we are, what I believe is the turning point, the top of the story mountain. We will go over this, but the story mountain is basically the beginning of the conflict, the rising conflict, and there is the climax at the top of the mountain that ultimately is where the main character concludes and reconciles their conflict, either with themselves or with another character, where you have an antagonist with the protagonist, who is the main character. But the bottom line is you got to look into this for every story, and here it is. And this is interesting. This is going to go back to one of my biggest criticism, when all of a sudden the author starts turning on the descriptive thoughts when I really don't think they should be there. Bottom of page 163, she's doing her presentation, and for the last truth, she's telling the audience here now, she goes to the windowsill for my keep going rock. And at this one big moment when she's making her presentation, she goes into these the author goes into these descriptive moments, like I mentioned. Listen to this. Again, it's one whole paragraph, but I initially I thought it was too much, but I am coming around to understanding where it's coming from, and I'll get to this. Quote, she's saying to herself, outside the window it was almost dark, but I could still see the trees and the mountain on the other side of the lake. I miss seeing the lake change during the day. Amazing, all the things you don't even realize you'll miss until you leave them or they leave you, unquote. So she's looking at the keep going rock in her hand, and she found herself thinking about Jack. It's funny how you can do this. Is this realistic in this moment when you're so focused on just putting a presentation together in front of a whole class? But I guess it is. He kept going. He kept trying to be my friend, even as I was hoping to have a different friend. And this is where the turning point of the story is. Owen's words suddenly hit me hard. You also, quote from Owen, you also have to be the friend you want to have. The author writes this down. Bottom of page 164, I looked over my checklist. Emma's best friend checklist. Likes me best. Likes the things I like. Shares secret jokes. Is always on my side. Lets me be me. Forgives me when I'm sorry. And immediately as you're reading this, you know this. This is all Jack. What does she say to herself? I wanted to keep Lappy mine, but I needed him. In fact, I'd wanted them all to be the kind of friend I needed, but I hadn't tried as hard to be the one they needed. I mean, this does work. As much as I'm thinking it's not realistic in this moment, this is almost like flashbacks, dramatic moments in movies where let's say any character realizes finally a light bulb moment goes off. And maybe they're just staring out into space. Maybe they're just scared in that moment, freezing. And maybe this is what's happened with Emma. But all of a sudden, here's what she does. She says one final thing. Lappy. Lappy loved us. Yes, it's true. But maybe he had loved his first family too. With all my heart, I wanted him to stay with us. But what did he want? She says that she knows what she has to do in this moment. Even if it was hard, even if it was difficult, embarrassing, maybe even if people got upset at me, ultimately didn't want to be my friends, would think different of me, she says to herself that she had to tell everything. She had to put everything on the table, tell the truth, tell everyone who she is, even if it meant losing Lappy. So the presentation continues. She goes through Jack's presentation, and ultimately, what does she say to herself? She was, quote, I felt lighter, almost dizzy with relief. I had said the truth, and it had been okay. Better than okay. I felt understood, unquote. She relays the story about Lappy, but now that she has to give it back, everyone in the class is looking sympathetically at her. And now Owen is there, by the way. Her father had come, brought Lappy in, and here she is. Jack, hands her a phone and said, call these people now, because she realized that she knows who the people are that lost a rabbit, has their name, has their phone number. And again, this is not realistic, but here she is. She calls in front of the whole class. She's calling. She's putting everything out there and seeing in that moment if these people own Lappy. And the phone call goes through. She answers the phone. And yes, she says, well, thank you for calling. And she says, this is our rabbit. Yes, we lost it. The kids are beside themselves. And she says, Clover, yes, the rabbit's name is Clover, and I really appreciate you reaching out. That's so kind of you. Clover got out of her pen. She's explaining it. And Owen whispers in Emma's ear, her. She said her. They know that Lappy is not a her, it's a guy. And ultimately she finds out, no, Clover was white and Lappy's not white. Yes, you think that she's going to move on and she's going to be okay because she's got friends, even though she has to return Lappy. But no, it turns out Lappy belongs to Emma. Everyone is happy. And get this, Iris ends up telling her, apologizing to her because she knew that Lappy didn't belong to his family. Oh my goodness, she knew it wasn't Lappy because these photos that were all over town were a picture of a rabbit that was white. Iris, what? You lied to me? She goes, quote, it wasn't really a lie. I just didn't tell you everything. Now listen to this. Talk about a window into everything being laid out on the table, because now Iris lays out everything on the table. And when you really understand everyone's insecurities, everyone's frame of reference, their point of view, where they're coming from, listen to what Iris says out loud to Emma. You wanted to be Leah's friend, and I've been her best friend forever. I didn't want you to squeeze me out. Wow. So what does she say back to her? After she's going through her head, she wanted to scream at her. She wanted to get angry at her. But she understood in that moment what she was going through, because Emma had been going through the same things. And she says brilliantly, and this is where her mother's influence comes through. It's as if she's saying the same thing the mother said to her. You know what? It's okay to have friends that are different. It makes it more interesting. You remember that from earlier in the book? Well, Emma says to Iris, quote, it's okay to have more than one friend. And for friends to change, I've been thinking about that too, unquote. Iris says, back then, you know what? Martha's absent today if you want to sit with us at lunch. And in that moment, you have to understand, she's come full circle. Both of them have come full circle. And even though it's only day 4, they are going to be okay together. Now, we have 2 pages left in the book, and like I said, this could be the end of the book because you can see it. You can see it from miles away. She's going to be okay. And then as the book wraps up, everyone is kind of laughing because Lappy ends up hopping out of the classroom into the hallways. He goes into the bathroom and he binks. He binkied between the sinks. Oh, my goodness. So I'll talk about this in a retrospective episode, but I don't know what this means. I didn't know what it means. Most of the class didn't know what it meant. And one student pointed out that, oh, yeah, no, I know what it means. They mentioned it briefly, but I'm sorry. You can't be saying this unless it's so clear at the end of the book. And that fact that I didn't remember what binkied means, my friend here, the rabbit, we got second to last page, he's binkied. And yes, of course, what does it mean? He's hopping. It's like, as Google is explaining to me right here in front of me, it's a characteristic high energy and acrobatic dance performed by rabbits. So, yeah, Monsieur, Jack says, silly Monsieur Lupin, you'll never be a nuthatch. You are a rabbit. And Emma laughs and said, you're right. And here they go, right? So they ate together as friends. Emma says, quote, so they ate together as friends, even though rabbits are herbivores. And Jack nodded, because it's magic. That's what Jack says out loud, rabbit magic. And so it was. One page left, and yeah, here we are. As I mentioned to my students, pay attention to the very end of the book. So often the authors will literally know something that is really important to be able to get out of stories, and that is the theme of the story, the author's message, the moral, if you want to say it. What are you taking away from this story that can be impactful to you in your life? The main idea is another way of putting this. I mean, just look at the bottom of page 182. The 183 is the last page. It's only half a page. That last paragraph on page 182 basically tells you the entire message of the story. And it's all about, you know what? Hey, life is about struggles. Life is about pushing forward. Life is about missing what you had in the past. So it literally, the author writes, quote, maybe that's just how growing up is, like going forward and looking back are in a race. You know going forward will win, but you can't help rooting for looking back sometimes too, unquote. Friends, this is what life, like I said, is all about, and growing up and maturing and having that light bulb moment in your life where everything clicks and you know you're going to be okay. And that's what she says at the end of the story. Walk into our classroom, I let joy and relief fill me, unquote. I was grateful that Lappy was still mine, but even more than that, I felt free. I felt free. I had been my whole self, and it was okay. My favorite quote is, be yourself. Everyone else is taken. And talk about another theme, because I've always told my students this. Whatever you think the theme is, whatever you think the message of the story is, it's never right or wrong, as long as you can back up your thinking with evidence and reasons why you think that. Evidence, what I mean is evidence from the story. And here, she's in the hallway as we wrap up the story. She says, quote, for the first time I knew why Lappy had binkied as soon as we'd released him from the fence. Quote, freedom is just too big to hold inside you. Right there in the hallway, not caring who saw me, I held Lappy tight and jumped into the air and twisted. A perfect Emma binky. And a perfect ending to this story, a perfect realistic fiction story, a perfect story for people that are struggling through their life, whether it's at school, at home, and how is it that you can overcome your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You want to change how you feel and change how you think, and that will change how you act. And this is why reading books is so important and so heartwarming and can change your life. You can see through the actions of others quietly, confidently on your own, seeing that, yes, I can get through this in my own real life. Friends, thanks for staying with me on this journey. We will definitely have our 6th of 6 episodes on this book. That will be a look back. Like I said, it will be a fun episode. Best characters, worst characters, best moments, worst moments, you name it. We'll wrap up everything. This great book, Because of the Rabbit by Cynthia Lord. Reach out to me at kevmok21@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook group, Okay, Let's Learn, and we are on YouTube. If it's easier to listen on YouTube, yes, we are there. Just search for Okay, Let's Learn, and please subscribe, and you'll get notifications as to when new episodes will be out there. Always love the reviews and the ratings. Until next time, have fun and keep learning.